The tennis rulebook is almost endless. Here are 5 weird rules you definitely don't know. Hi, Ben from PH Tennis here, and today I'm going to be taking you through the top 5 weird rules in tennis that you probably didn't know. Now, there's all kinds of little nuances to the rulebook that a lot of people get right, a lot of people get wrong, and as fun as it might be, leads to loads of arguments. Now, a little bit of an argument on the tennis court isn't the worst thing in the world, but watch this video and by the end of it, you and your opponent will be getting on perfectly, even when the weird stuff happens. So without further ado, let's get started with weird rule number 1. Let's get started, like a game of tennis, with the serve. Now, you have to be behind the baseline, everyone knows that. You're not allowed to touch the baseline, everyone knows that. But there are a couple of little things to do with the width. First of all, and this has happened on occasion, I seem to remember Serena Williams getting particularly cross about this one, your foot is not allowed to cross an imaginary continuation of the center tee. That little mark in the middle of the court, that separates the juice court from the ad court. You are not allowed to touch that invisible line. Otherwise, you have crossed the middle of the court and it is a foot fault. You need to be wholly on one side of the court. But how far can you go? Well, if you're playing singles, you can go all the way up to the singles sideline, the singles tram line. If you're playing doubles, you can go all the way out to the doubles tram line. So you have to say on the correct side of the court, imagine the singles tram line if you're playing singles and the center tee continuing, and that is your marker, and you're not allowed to touch those lines just like the baseline. So weird little rule number 1 is to make sure you are completely legal when serving. Weird rule number 2, everyone knows this one, you can't hit the ball twice, but you can if you do it in one motion. Really, really weird, incredibly rare. We tried to recreate this one, couldn't do it, so I don't know how often it will come up, but if your racket makes one movement, you are allowed to make contact with the ball twice. So those scuffy, funny, little weird shots you get, they are allowed as long as the racket only makes one movement. This isn't one of those rules that you can really call on your opponent, basically going to lead to an argument every single time. But if you are having an argument, show them this video. You are allowed to swing the racket once and make contact with the ball twice. So weird rule number 3 is all about touching the net. Now, you all know you're not allowed to touch the net when you play tennis, or can you? Well, there are 2 instances when it is allowed. First of all, when the point is dead. So as soon as your shot has bounced twice, the point is considered dead. You are then allowed to touch the net. So when you are chasing after that drop shot and you're trying to get stopped in time, hopefully your ball has bounced twice before you go careering into the net and you would still get the win. Also, and this is very niche, if you have singles sticks up at your club, that creates the edge of the net, which means any space left to the side between the single sticks and the doubles net post technically isn't part of your net anymore, and you are allowed to touch that. So if you have single sticks in play and you touch the net outside of them, that is absolutely fine as well. Weird rule. So those are the instances when you can touch the net, but obviously most of the time you can't. So what are we going to do about this? Well, you have to wait for the ball to cross the net before you play it. So you can't reach over the net and play it before it's come to your side, but you can lean over the net after you've played your shot. So if your follow through carries on over the net, that is absolutely fine. But you better not touch the ground on the opponent's side of the court, because that is also against the rules. So you can lean over, but you can't touch your racket onto the playing surface. So again, another little niche. You can lean over and touch the ground if it is outside of the court. You can lean over if you don't touch the ground, but you cannot touch the opponent's side of the net. Also, if the ball has already bounced on your side, you can reach over and play it, like so. So finally at number 5, we have the last of our weird rules, and that's a ball doesn't have to go over the tennis net. Everybody knows it can go around, as seen by Mr. Alcaraz rather a lot recently, but the ball cannot go through. And when we say through, obviously it can't go through halfway up a hole that's been chewed in the net by a fox if you're in North London, but it also can't go through that tiny little gap between the net post and the net. Very, very small, and it has happened once, and it happened very famously in Roger Federer's last ever match. I'm sure Joe's going to put a clip of it in here. The ball doesn't have to go over, but it does have to go in. So there you have it, 5 little intricate, nuanced rules of tennis, which you probably haven't heard all 5 before. There are lots of others, and there is lots of scope for arguments, and isn't that great? It's what we love about tennis. 2 people getting to the net and having a yes it is, no it isn't, yes it is, no it isn't argument until ultimately someone gets upset. Next time that happens though, you've got the resource. Pull this video up and all your answers will be solved. Thank you very much for watching. As usual, don't forget to like, share and subscribe so you never miss a thing from PH Tennis.